What's happening, everybody, man? Thank you guys for tuning in. This is episode 83 of Expert Mentors Live. And, man, super excited for today's episode. We've got the one and only Mr. Nick Good on. And, man, we're going to talk a little how to prospect like a pro. I'm super excited for this topic. If you guys have any questions, any comments, we're live on Facebook, so throw it in there or just drop it in the chat here on the link with us. But man, let's get after it. Nick, man, say hello to the Honey Badger Nation.
What's up, everyone? I'm excited.
Yeah, man, this is your wheelhouse, and so I'm really excited. I know, we've covered a vast array of topics over these episodes, and we've hit a little bit on this, but man, I know we're going to dive super deep. Definitely got my notepad and pen handy, and also definitely some questions myself. So, man, let's rock and roll.
Absolutely.
Are you wanting to share? You just going to roll with it? You got some slides? What do you want to do?
You kind of direct me, like, prospect like a pro. I mean, it's we're all about, I built my team on a prospecting based method. So I don't have any slides to share on this one, just because, this is being proactive and it's picking up the phone, right? So actually I do have something right here, right? Prospect like approach right here. So really what I'm going to be honest, I learned most of this, at least my foundation, was built off of Michael Reese and Jay Kinder stuff back in 2008, 2009, whatever that was. When I went through Kinder Reese training, I built our business on bread and butter expired listings, right? So we had to get good, or I had to get good at talking to strangers and getting past their initial reaction of who is this stranger, who the F is calling me, and you sound like everybody else.
Right.
And so, the main thing was, prospect like a pro. When I teach my agents, it's consistency first, right? So we talk about mastering your calendar. When I'm teaching new agents that are coming in, we have our rules of the pipeline, but the rules of the pipeline don't exist until you come in Monday through Friday from 8 to 12. That's our lead generation hour. And we're on the phones. We're pulling expireds. We're pulling for sale by owners. We're circle prospecting neighborhoods, right? And so, with that, while we're doing that, we need to get really good at learning the direction that we're going to take a call or conversation in.
Gotcha.
And so when we're doing that, we do our script practice, right? So we do a lot of script practice, a lot of script training. But the reason I like to do that, especially for people who maybe are more fearful of getting on the phone. They're afraid of that rejection. First off, if you're afraid of rejection and you're not going to get on the phone, you're rejecting yourself. So, go ahead and get over that fear. Let's go ahead and start getting on it, because that's an amazing lead source. Being prospecting based, you can survive any type of real estate market. Right.
100%.
John, I'm sure that you kind of coach and teach on that. Like, you want your business to go up the next level, and you're not being proactive on the phones. If you're not reaching out and creating systems for that, then you're probably not going to get to where you're wanting to go.
Right. Now,
right?
Give some context to everybody tuning in, kind of the market you're in, right? You're just kind of share and kind of give a wider range, just everybody can kind of get their head around, kind of what you guys are dealing with every day.
Absolutely. So we're in Dallas, Texas. I have a team of 11 now, and we'll sell we've been executing several that are closing this month. So we're going to finish out strong. So we should somewhere around that 200 transaction mark.
Awesome.
And up until 5 years ago, the majority of our business was expired listings, right? And being a cold-based lead source. 5 years ago, we started implementing more of a sphere-based business, more past clients, more referrals. But our heart and foundation is still built on making those cold calls and calling day in and day out. And so we've got our rules of the pipeline here that when people are joining our team, we expect 300 dials a day, 1,500 calls a week. And from there, you can't control your pickup rate, right? You can't control how many people we talk to. That's a lagging indicator, right? So we look at the leading indicators of things that we can control. So a leading indicator is something you can't control. Lagging indicators is something you can't control. So you can control how many people, how many phone calls you make.
Right.
You can control how many text messages you send out, right? You can control how many doors you knock, how many open houses you hold, et cetera. So what we focus on is really getting in and making those calls. So the rules of the pipeline, when we're calling expired, when we're calling internet leads, when we're calling circle prospect in a neighborhood, what we will do is we will call 3 times in a row, back to back to back.
You were those guys, huh?
We're those guys.
I love it.
What I will tell you is that most of the time, I wish we need to track this one a little bit better, to be honest with you. But I'm going to put it out there. I feel like it's about 70% of the time people answer on that second call. When you call that third time, if they didn't answer the second time, you call that third time, you're leaving a voicemail, right? So we're going to call 3 times in a row, back to back to back. If no one answers, we leave a voicemail, and then we send a text message. And then we do it all over again.
Is your text and the voicemail, everything's kind of congruent? The wording is all similar?
It's similar. We've been changing and tweaking and testing. So a lot of times what I've been testing, I'd be like, hey, John, it's Nick Good. I got your request for me to give you a call about your house. Give me a call here when you get a chance. Right? I've changed it up. I've been doing more of the reach outs, making it sound like they've inquired, because what we have found is that regardless when we're making outbound calls, when we say that we're just returning their call or returning their inquiry, a lot of times it gives us enough opportunity because it stops them in their tracks, because it gets them on a thinking track pattern. And it at least allows us to go in and start asking questions of motivation, their time frame, why their house didn't sell, et cetera. Or if it's a seller internet lead source. Hey, John, I just got your request for me to give you a call. Looks like you're interested in getting that house sold for top dollar. Tell me a little bit about that house. Why are you interested in getting it sold? Right. So we're just doing some whether it's the right or wrong terminology, like interrupting patterns to get them to at least stop in their tracks so they don't hang up on us, or that they say they're not interested really quick. Right. If you're calling expired and say, hey, it's Nick Good with the Good Home Team. I notice your home's no longer for sale. What are they doing? Like, no, take me off your list. Click, hang up. Take me off your list. Click, hang up. So we've had to develop different strategies in order to keep people on the phone so that we can still ask that engagement question to get to their motivation time frame, and then ultimately setting that appointment.
I love that. Perfect. So I guess kind of before that point, I mean, you guys only hire, if they're going to be able to probably commit to this certain point. But just from a mindset perspective, what are you guys seeing that why most agents won't won't make the calls, and then you said my favorite word there is staying consistent. So kind of what do you see on that side of things? Why most agents won't do it or won't stay consistent with it?
Well, I mean, look, they're afraid of it's immediate rejection, right? They're rejecting making calls, or even if you use the word salesperson, we automatically get a negative feeling in our mindset. So they're kind of putting their thoughts out there of these people don't want my call. They don't want to be bugged. They don't want to be annoyed, et cetera. And they're immediately, projecting their thoughts out to what, they're perceiving that these expireds or sellers or internet leads, et cetera, are feeling. And so in my opinion, what I have seen is one is the fear of rejection. The ones that start it and then stop. I mean, look, yes, people can be rude on the phones, right? I mean, they can say some mean things, but they don't know you from Joe Schmo. What does it matter? right? And it's not like you're hanging out with these people after work. It's not like you're going to go see that someone who tells you to jump off a bridge. I mean, we've had people send us hate mail that says we should go back in time and kill our entire family so we can stop our bloodline. Right? You think that stopped us? I mean, no, we still will reach out. We'll still send letters to them. Right? No harm, no foul. It's not a big deal. But I will tell you, if I were to say, hey, John, that phone call, each phone call is worth $5,000 to you, or $1,000, or whatever. How many people are going to say, yes, I would make 100 phone calls for $500 a call?
Yeah, I mean, all day, every day. I mean, we got a client we're working with, and just the deals off the hours that they've put in, which is like bare bones, right? It's like, man, they've got to step it up. It's like it equates to about like $5,500 an hour is what it is equated to. It's like, you think you could, what if we 10x the amount of time we put in? So no, I get it. And so with that negative mindset, the fear of rejection, I mean, what are some of the solutions? Cause I'm sure, I mean, we've had team members over the years that, kind of deal with that. How do you help them work through that, overcome that fear, and really kind of the solution based to work through that?
I mean, so what we've done here is that's why we prospect together in the office together, right? That camaraderie. So we, when we're doing it together in the office and someone just got their teeth kicked in, right? We'll make a joke out of like, shake it off, right? Or when I'm like, a lot of times I'll go in there and make calls with them, or if someone's a tough pill that we're dealing with, I'll go ahead and do the call. When we're doing it together, it raises everybody up, right? So what I've noticed is the ones that stop are the ones that say, they don't want to do it in front of somebody. It's kind of like, you can pick out the people like, no, I don't want to role playing stupid, or they go off in a corner and they're really, really silent because they don't want to be, put in front of everyone because they're embarrassed on it. Well, here we put everyone in the same room together. Right. And it's like, look, everyone sounds bad in the beginning. There's times, with how busy the schedule has gotten, that I'll jump back on the phones. I'm like, did I just freaking say that? I sound like a newbie, right? I sound like a rookie at this, but it's okay because you'll go back and listen to some things. I'm like, I can't believe I just said that. Yeah. But the conversation keeps going.
I love it. What would you, that's 100%. What would you say though for, cause within EXP and the Honey Badger Nation, man, we got a lot of people working from home, man. They're not in that office environment. What kind of recommendations would you give them along the same lines to have that, that energy, that accountability?
Camaraderie, absolutely. So I'd say get some accountability partners. We've got some people then in our network we've talked about with David Mitnick, one of them. We talked about doing, getting on Zoom like this, right? Just putting your camera up and going and just start making the calls, right? You can virtually be there. There are solutions there, or at least get your role play partners together in the morning and do it through Zoom. That way you can still see the face-to-face interaction and really start practicing your scripting, your objection handling, right? Your tonality, right? Because when you're making the calls, you're not FaceTiming these people, right? It's all over the phone. So they can't see you, right? So tonality is going to be really big. Your body language when you're sitting in your chair, if you're slumped over, or you're not in the right mindset and you're like, hey, John, it's Nick, no one's going to listen to it. You got to come with energy. You got to come with tonality. So, get some accountability partners, practice those scripts and objection handling day in and day out. I mean, that's where the consistency starts. So again, 8 to 12 is Monday through Friday is our lead gen time. And getting that Monday through Friday script practice in, and then ultimately owning your conversation. The scripting in the beginning is that GPS roadmap. And then ultimately you can then start making those scripting your own to make it sound more conversational. So you don't just sound like a telemarketer or a robot, because that's another objection I get for these new agents. I don't want to sound like a robot. Okay. Well, don't sound like a robot, but do you know what you're going to say? Do you know the direction you're going to take this in? Oh, you don't? Then let's go ahead and let's go this direction first, because it's worked since 2009, at least for me. I think we've done all right.
Right.
So trust in the process.
I love that. And for everybody listening in, I wanted to emphasize something that you shared just a second ago, and hopefully you guys caught this. If not, write it down. Is that Nick's leading by example, like gets in there, makes calls, jumps cannonballs in there with them, right? In there making calls, helping them work through that. That's a huge lesson because we've seen over the years, you get to that point and you're like, I don't want, I'm not going to make calls anymore. I'm not going to do that. They're going to all be there and, they need to figure it out. Why aren't they doing better? It's like, well, I mean, are you in there leading by example and they're making calls with them? No, you don't have to sit in there for 4 hours with them every day, Monday through Friday, but you need to jump in there. You need to be there.
For me, I'm able to keep a pulse on everything. Right. So if I'm asking, hey guys, what's going on? They're like, oh, the pickup rate's not there. I'm like, well, are we calling 3 times in a row? Right. And so what I will do is I will do a random time test where I call for a couple hours in the afternoon, like 1 to 3, right? That's 1 to 3 is not the greatest pickup time, but I've got multiple, and a lot of times I'll do it Facebook Live in our internal group that I have for my team here, where it's like, I'm getting pickups on 3 calls in a row, right? If these leads I'm not calling any special lead lists, right? I'm not calling the Glenn Ross lead list, right? If you don't know what that is, go look up the Glenn Ross movie, right? That the golden leads, I'm just calling this from the same list that everyone else has here on the team. And so, right. It's just, yes, showing by example, showing that if you put the time, energy, and work into it, your pipeline will get full. And then ultimately you got to follow up. I mean, that's, prospect like a pro, making the calls in the beginning, setting, either setting appointments or setting nurtures is nothing. It's the fortunes in the follow-up, right?
Are you using that morning time for follow-up as well? Kind of what kind of, if you had to lay out like the perfect hierarchy of, hey, coming in, this is what we're hitting, new expireds, new for sale by owners, yep. New uncontacted, like take everybody through kind of the hierarchy that you run.
Absolutely. Through. 8 to 11 is we go through from at the, in the morning, the first morning hour is all new leads, people that have come in overnight, new expires, new for sale by owners. Once we've all gone through that list, then it's then we go through what we call as qualified qualify are people that we have not, that have inquired, that have not been spoken to yet, that we have not gotten in contact with yet. So it's kind of like the 21 days of calls, text, and emails. Then from there, we go into the nurture account. The nurture account are people that we have spoken with, but have not set appointments with. Now, the way we run with our team here, we run one main lead account, right? We call it the hopper or the pond account. So everyone fishes out of that main pond account. And then if they get a hot prospect, someone that is 6 months or less, whether, if it's an appointment, of course, they pull it over to their personal account. So we've got our agents have their own personal account that we call the top 60, right? They can only have 60 leads in there at any given time. The reason why we had that is that we noticed that the more leads you have, right, the more your follow-up stack up, and then the more the new leads stack up, and then you start falling behind on both. Right. So we ran, Elizabeth Austin was my team leader here, and we determined the top 60 was the best option for our agents' personal accounts so that they can keep control of their follow-ups. Right. So, when they're fishing from that pond account and they have somebody that, let's say they talk to you, John, you're like, I'm thinking about selling my house here in the next 4 to 8 months. Great. But we can't get an appointment set, but we've set a follow-up time for him to call you back in the next 30 days. I'm going to pull you into my personal account so I can continue building that personal rapport with you, send you a handwritten note, et cetera. And then, from 11 to 12, is our personal top 60 account follow-ups, right? So the 8 to 11 is the new leads in the pond account. It's the qualify in the pond account. Those are people that we have not spoken to yet. And then the nurtures in the pond account are people that we've spoken to, have not set an appointment, and are typically the further out. Maybe they have some credit issues. Maybe maybe on the seller side, they're just getting a feel for what their home would sell for, et cetera.
I love that. That's perfect. And I think, too, I love that the 60, because, I think that gives you a good gauge to where you can start to scale, right? If you're new in the beginning, you get your 60 built up and you get leads and things are starting to fall through the cracks. Like, hey, either pull a trigger with an ISA, start to grow the team, get another agent on board with you. I think that's just a great, hey, boom, we start to scale at this point. That's fantastic. When are you guys doing the script practice and training and role playing and going through that? Are you guys a set time before? Is it set training during the week? Kind of when are you guys?
Yeah, great question. So when Elizabeth was the team leader for our team, she went back into full production earlier this year. That was at the 7:45 hour. As I have transitioned back into the team leader role, it's been a bit more loose on that. It's more kind of as we hear it and go. And, if I hear someone on the phone, like we have some agents making calls right now, if I were in here, not on this, and I'm over there hearing, what I'll do is then use that as an example, right? So most of my agents right now are fairly well versed in our scripting, right? We sound uniformed. Typically the things that we work on the most are objection handling, right? Putting new information out there. The feds, we expect during the election year that the market's still going to remain strong. We out of 7 out of the last 10 election cycles, we haven't seen a downturn in the economy. So it still should be a strong seller market, those types of deal, right? So, in the very beginning when the team was newer and we had a lot of newer agents, then it was scripting every day.
Gotcha.
Right. Yeah. Now, if I bring on brand new agents right now, they sit in my office right here. We go ahead and go over the rules of the pipeline. So I'm going over everything that I'm going over with you guys. And then we make some calls together. I do it first for them so they can hear it. Then they start doing some here in my office so I can hear it. And then I put them out in the bullpen with everyone else so that they just pick it up, or they deselect themselves and quit the team.
Right. That's fine. It's just that's the culture and the environment that you've created and done a fantastic job at. The kind of working through that. One other question on that. So you guys are really, a lot of the training and everything is done on the fly in real time, right?
It is now. It is now. Yep. We were definitely, again, in the beginning it was definitely a lot more structured from the training side of things as they needed. Now we've got a solid group. I have an amazing group of people that I'm honored to be aligned with. So that now it can be more on the fly training, and I can, the new agents that come in, I get to train with them, be a little bit more hands-on, and then, like I said, release them, put them out in the bullpen and let them shine.
Yeah. I want to kind of finish what the rest of the calendar looks like, but just real quick on the 60, and it's only 60 at any time, right? So if they get a new hot one, they have to throw another one back in the pond to be able to take that 60.
Absolutely. Okay.
Now,
for clarification on that, if our agents, their sphere and past clients do not count, right? These are, we've always had that question. So what we see is those are 60 people in there, that does not include their sphere. Because they should still be following up with them and talking to them on a regular basis. These are either expireds or for sale by owners, or again, Facebook leads, Google leads, etc.
So, kind of the foundational pillars when it comes to this, right? We've done a lot of talking on the effort metric and kind of how you have that established. I want to come back around and talk about leads a little bit, but give them a little bit of on the tools, right, that you guys are using. So you have like one collectively in a fish pond and then an individual account. Are they keeping their sphere in that individual account? How are we keeping that?
So yes. So they're keeping their sphere in their individual account, right? What I do want to have for anybody that joins is, especially in the beginning, right? There's this, these are mine. Right. There's always a blockage when it comes to, hey, go ahead and put your people in here, and they're like, well, that's mine. Like, no, this is your personal account. Right. So from a mental mindset thing, it's definitely a lot better for us to have it that way. Now, what we do is we download we download everyone's information, and then I use viral marketing to send out twice a month video emails to our entire database, right? So I think we have 55,000, 60,000 something that we send out on a twice a month, 2 to 3 times a month basis, right? So we're still touching their sphere for them just from a top level. But we still want everyone to go ahead and put it in their personal accounts so that they can use it as a tracking tool. And we use Boomtown, right? We use Boomtown from it's been a good, easy system for us. KV Core, if anyone's using that, KV Core looks like an amazing system. I use KV Core from the agent attraction side of things to play around with. So I do know that KV Core could probably do the same thing at the team level.
Yeah. I think those are 2 really, really great options. Are you guys using any dialers or anything like that to call through Mojo or anything?
Yeah. So, and I go back and forth on this, right? If you would have asked me a month ago, I would say we're getting rid of all of them. I think we had 15 or 20 Mojo accounts at one time. And so we've scaled that down. If I remember correctly, I think we have 4 or 5. What I have noticed is going back to the hand dialing method. That way we can control easier the 3 calls back to back to back, being more intentional. So this is something that we struggle with here from just a metric wise. Like when we set the 300 daily calls, the 1,500 calls a week, what we were noticing, and this is something Elizabeth and I have always gone back and forth with and just discussions with, is that when you have agents that are focused on $300 a day, $300 a day, are they limiting their conversations when they actually get someone on the phone because they're just so focused on hitting that 300 number, right? So what we're kind of dialing back and testing out is going to more hand dialing method to control the 3 calls back to back to back, sending the text messages from Boomtown, and we've seen a better pickup rate, just hand dialing. It may be just from the auto dialers having there's that little second delay there.
Lag.
Little delay. And it gives people just enough time to hang up, right? Or just enough time to put up their guards to where unless you're really good, like Elizabeth can overcome it, but if you're not skilled that way, then you're fumbling in the end zone and you're not going to win.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Or do you allow, is the back to back to back, is that like 1 call or is that counted as 3 calls?
One call.
1 call.
Yes.
So man, they've got to stay pretty much on point. And I mean, obviously calling into their personal follow-up and nurtures and stuff like that, that counts towards the dials, the dials as well.
Yep.
Gotcha. So man, they got to stay pretty well on point, don't they?
They do. Yeah, they do. And then, I mean, look, this is, the things that we really teach here is like, this is not a job, man. This is a career. You're just aligned. You're tying your business with our business, right? And we don't want to have a whole bunch of just that employee mindset. We want the business owner mindset of coming in and saying, look, I understand I have to make these dials. 8 to 12 is our time in the office together, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that you stop and you go hang out when you're done. That means you keep going. Right. So, our group here, I mean, it's 12:30 right now. We have a good amount of people here, still hitting their calls. Every Tuesday we do from 4 to 6, we do a call night. That we do every week, right? Not twice a month. We want to keep that on an every week basis.
I love that. Yeah. Kind of give a rundown the rest of the calendar and kind of what you anticipate the ideal week to look like for your team.
Right. So again, I mean, we keep it simple, right? So the easier to understand, the better. Monday through Friday, 8 to 12. And then every Tuesday, 4 to 6. So that's the ideal week. Now, what we always tell people when you're setting appointments, there's always exceptions to this rule, but any appointment that you're setting needs to be set in the afternoon. Now, of course, there's always exceptions, right? There's sometimes where you have closings at 9 a.m. You've got, people that work overnights, or there's people that are driving into town that need to meet, in the morning. So there's always exceptions to that rule, but we always say you need to block out as much as possible that 8 to 12 hour and use that time to really get hopefully the majority of your appointments in. One thing that I could probably, I can share out, just to make it easier. Not on here, but I'll put it in the comments on the Facebook. But we said just a mental visual is that everyone that I meet with, their goal is to make over $100,000 a year, right? They want to make six figures.
Period.
And so we have a stair step. We just show it. All you need to do is set one appointment a day with our program. And if you focus on one appointment a day, from there with a 50% run rate, right? So you're going to set anywhere from 4 to 8 appointments every week. You're going to only run 2 to 4 of them with a 50% run rate.
Yep.
Then from there, we show at a low side a 50% conversion. Now we teach using better conversion techniques, but at a 50% conversion rate, you're going to sign 1 to 2 seller or buyer clients a week. From there, we average about a 75% closing ratio, which has been, the history of the Good Home team. That's going to equal about 3.5 closings a month per agent. From there, our goal is until we break 100 million at the Good Home team. That's our goal, year in and year out. So, yep. And so
those are great assumptions. So that's good for you guys listening in. You need to know. I mean, I could see that on the buy side being real high. Certain markets, I know for us in Lawton, I mean, it's still completely opposite, as it is here. And 50% listing taken, listing sold ratio. I mean, it just is what it is. So you just got to know kind of what those, but what Nick shared are great assumptions for you guys building out, what you need to be focused on. And just like Nick said in the beginning, man, you got to focus on the things within your control. And, the highest leverage activities, this business is simple. So many people want to overcomplicate it. There's only a handful of things that actually freaking matter in this business. And Nick's created the environment for them to succeed and focus on the things that really do.
And let me give credit. Let me give credit to the rest of the group, right? The environment was created. The environment was created, but the group kept it going. Like, Elizabeth is the driving force in that, right? We have Arthur, David, Brian Murray, LA. I mean, Jorge. The rest of the group continues to thrive because of those people, right? So the environment was was kind of created on its own. Mm-hmm. Right. We just have really, really great partnerships.
Yeah. And great leadership as well. So the key thing, go back to the hierarchy. Actually, hold on before I'm jumping around on you. The schedule, what would you ideally like for them to do on Saturdays and Sundays?
So on Saturdays and Sundays, we go back and forth on this one, right? So open houses. In the beginning, we were testing out open houses where we had a requirement for brand new agents to do 8 open houses in their first 30 days with us. And then from there, it went to 2 open houses a month. We've said, look, if like myself and Elizabeth, we didn't kill it at open houses, right? Our strengths are talking to people on the phones and using that time. So replacing one of those activities with if you're going to door knock or you're going to do open houses, or are you going to do the calls, right? So it's just replacing one of those and then taking some time off, right? So on a Sunday, it's easy probably just to get away for an hour, just to make a quick calls or text message or do some follow-ups real fast. Just like if you're committed to your health, are you, a quick 30 minute workout or an hour workout is not going to kill your day.
Exactly.
Right. So we still want that consistency there. To me, I leave it as a test on what is their willpower to continue working within their business.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And, we've seen where, you've set a pretty good, kind of what the measurement of success is. We've kind of gone back and forth. If you don't hit it, you need to come in Saturday morning, crank through. I mean, I know for us, man, Saturday morning was money. That was like the best time to get in the offices. There's usually not everybody there. The distractions are very low. Yep. And contact rate was super high. So and that
absolutely
was a time.
Well, I mean, and look, we've also noticed, like I've told people, I said, look, if it's Saturday morning and, like I have kids, right? So if it's loud, hit the text messages, right? And this is hard for me to comprehend because again, my brother and I, we're built on just calling,
Right.
But I mean, I have examples here of agents that are doing decently well just by hitting hard the text messages. So it's just hard for me to fathom that, just because I want to pick up the phone and I want to talk to somebody.
We struggled with it too. And, it's just kind of a little bit, kind of the generational thing, and when Holly got into the business, and that, like, she don't like talking on the phone, but she'll text message you like crazy.
Right. It's like, oh man, what'd you do? Oh man, I sent out 400 text messages a day. I'm like, all right. And what else did you do? Right. Like, but if you said, hey, I pounded through 400 dials, that's a different story.
Right.
I don't know why. Like, it's just
a mental thing, man. But I mean, I've seen her close deals that started with a text message conversation. So like, I'm a believer in it, right? I know, man, it works. So, kind of go back through the actual. I know you went through qualified, unqualified, but actual sources, right? Is it hitting expireds for sell by owners? You said Boomtown. So are they hammering through buyer leads?
Yes. Yeah. So and just remember, we've tested out so many different methods, right? Not everyone's great at expireds, right? So not everyone's great at for sale by owners. In fact, that's my kryptonite, right? Like, I'm not a for sale by owner king. If anybody ever taught me to teach it, I'd say that I'm a fraud, because I should not be teaching that. I can do expireds all day long. I can circle prospect all day long, but you get me up on for sale by owners, that's not my deal. So we look at where their strength lies, right? And they have to figure out what their strengths are. So unfortunately, it's us having to go through trial and error to see that. Right? There's people that come in here and be like, man, I've been making all these calls, but didn't set any appointments. It's like, okay, what list are you calling first? Let's break that down. What are the, what's the lead sources on that? If it's expireds, all right, let's go ahead and tweak your conversations, right? So we actually changed our scripting on expireds, right? So the intro is like, used to be the typical script. I see your home's no longer on for sale. Are you still interested in selling? If we brought a buyer, blah, blah, blah. We've changed it now to say, I see that your home, unfortunately, is no longer for sale. Did you give up on trying to sell that house? Right? Because mentally, a lot of people don't like to give up on something, right? So the minute we changed that script over to that one, we got into a lot more conversations. And then I could then determine, are my agents, which ones are strong at that? And should they continue going at it, or should they go and hit the Facebook leads? Should they we use ZBuyer as a listing source, right? ZBuyer are, I think I was introduced to ZBuyer by Jay and Mike way back in the day. Yeah. And that's been a huge listing lead source for us, right? But they sell that information out to a lot of people. So you got to be on it, and you got to be aggressive. And if you don't have that aggressive mindset on that call, then you're not going to get in the door. Now you're just wasting and burning our lead. So we've got to figure out which one's better. Maybe you're better at making the circle prospecting to invite people to open houses. All right, then we're going to focus more on that.
Gotcha. Right? I love that. Building the confidence. That's a great distinction for all of you guys listening in. How are you guys solving for speed of response?
We haven't. I'm still working on, man. I'm very disappointed in our speed of response right now. I've tested out some ISA services. I'm testing out. I think there's one I'm going to be testing out. I think Shout Boss. I'm still working on all that. So I'm not the example on that one.
That's awesome. It was good, to hear Kyle and Veronica talk about that in Key West, as well as like, that's the number one factor that they're focusing in on, because you nailed it, man. Any lead sources you guys are getting, you think that is just going to be specific for you, you're mistaken, man. They're selling the data as much as they can. And
it is. And here's what I'll say to that, though. Like when I hear that, I get really defeated. Right. And it's like, well, if I can't call on a certain time, why should I even get that lead source? Let me tell you, we've built a good, solid business, and our speed to lead definitely is laughable. Right. And we still win because we win in the follow-up.
Yep.
I used to keep an accordion file, and that's, the old school way. And I would print out my lead list just like this. And I would count how many times I followed up or called this person. I think one time I set an appointment, it was like 67 calls.
Man, I love that.
We made my brother and I made it a game, right?
Yeah.
It's like, all right, all right, you told me no, but no doesn't mean no. It just means not right now.
That's right. I love that. That's a hell of a mindset for all of you guys listening in. That it is, man. It's cliche, fortune is in the follow-up, but it is absolutely true. And yeah, it is.
We're just trying to convert. So like the mindset here is like, we're all trying to convert these leads right away as soon as they come in. When you go look at the time frame to conversion on internet leads or whatever is 18 months. And you're trying to convert them, within 5 minutes, and it just doesn't work. That's like, we treat everything like dating. Like typically you're not just going to go up to someone and close the deal right then and there. And if you do, I'm questioning that other person.
Yeah.
Right? Like but now, like if we're going to date them, it's going to be a longer follow-up process with that. So just treat it, have that mindset. It's like, all right, I'm going to keep calling you. I'm going to call you. You told me to call you today at 6. I'm going to call you today at 6. Or I'm going to call you at 5:59. And then I'm going to send you a text if you don't answer your phone. Be like, hey, John, I just want to let you know I just left you a voicemail and you asked me to follow up with you. When's a good time? Is there a better time this evening or tomorrow to call you? Right? Like it's easy. We
kind of dive into that a little bit. Kind of share, some of the things that you guys are having great success with to help nurture the process and really increase your guys' overall conversion.
Well, what I will say is that when we get them on the phone and set, when we're setting the appointment, it's really pre-qualifying them, right? On a listing, if everything, and you guys, I'm sure that there's in this in the NAE training, I'm sure there is, because a lot of this stuff is what I got from you guys. But, when I come out there, I say, look, Don, I'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. When I come out there, if everything makes sense, which I know you're going to be blown away with our proven ability to get homes sold for top dollar in average 39 days or less. Are you planning on hiring me when I come out there tomorrow? Right? They tell me no. I'm gonna continue asking why. Right? I'm gonna ask the questions like, great, what are you looking for? Right? John, what are you looking for in the type of agent that you're gonna hire today? Or that's at the appointment. I say that on the phone. What are you looking for in the type of agent that you're gonna hire? Right? We're human beings. Just talk to them. Right? It's not difficult. Right? You may get some engineering mindsets, then those are difficult. It's like pulling teeth. But here's the thing: if they don't hang up on you, just ask more questions. It's a simple game. We overcomplicate it because here's what happens: you're making calls, you're nervous, you get someone on the phone, you're like, shit, I don't know what to say. And so you just start throwing up on them. You go really, really, really fast, and because you want the call to be over. Breathe. Breathe. I've had it to where I've asked a question. Hey, John. I noticed your home's no longer for sale. Did you give up on trying to sell that? Well, no. Great. Where were you going to go when your home would have sold? Well, I don't know. Are you staying in the area? Right. And it's just continue going. And then I'll ask a question. And if they don't respond, I'll just pause. Make it a game. Yeah. Right. I've had it where I timed, I think it was 1 minute and 5 seconds. Before the person's like, yeah, the person was like, are you still there? I'm like, yeah, I was waiting on your response. What do you think? Gamify it, right? Make this a game. And then look, now you've got stories when you're talking to people, right? Just like, again, we had this postcard. I think we were going to frame it where they said, go back in time, kill your entire family and bloodline so that guys, you would stop sending me these letters and calling, right? Just make it a game.
Yeah. Don't take it too personal. That's for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully that helps. It's tough on this one because when we're talking to people, really it's just getting to their motivation, right? If they're a home buyer, find out if they're first time home buyer, right? If they're, if they're not, ask them, great. What has them, find out what has them ready to buy right now, or what's holding you back from buying right now. Oh man, my credit's not great. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. Why is your credit not where it needs to be? What's going on with that? Most people don't ask that question. I do. I need to know what's going on so I can figure out, do I need to follow up with you, John? John, you're what I always joked around with yesterday, I was telling someone yesterday, I said, we find more people bragging about having a 520 or 40 credit score. I'm like, man, like you're proud that you're not paying your bills. Like, let me figure out how we can help you.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, no, it definitely is. Right. And, it's always kind of everything that we train on and teach and coach in our teams and everything. It's set the appointment, qualify the appointment. And you just got to be inquisitive, ask the questions, counseling, interviews, whatever you need. And just, you can't just like, oh, a warm body, pop up and off and run. And so you definitely want to make sure that you qualify, you're not wasting your time, and understand, the process that you need to put them on.
Here's my thing though. If you feel that you're not great at it, right? First off, that's a mental mindset. Break that mindset. Because if you're telling yourself you're not great at it, then you're not going to be great at it. But get your scripts out. We have them all. If you don't have the scripts in there, I'm sure we can post it in the group. There's plenty of scripts out there. And I've watched it on YouTube. Like I trained myself after, before, getting trained with Kendra Reese back in the day. I was watching on YouTube. I was watching people just reading it from the script. Do that in the beginning so you can hear what people are saying. Just get used to the rhythm. And here's the thing. It's all in the follow-up anyway. Yeah. You could be completely off base and horrible on the first call, the second call. As long as you keep making those calls, they're going to remember who you are because you're outlasting everybody else.
Mm-hmm. That's gold. That is absolute gold. Yeah. So many people get hung up on that first call, man. That's money right there for everybody, for all you guys listening in is, man, you're going to fumble them. And here's the other thing too, is like, you're not face to face with these people. Get the dang scripts. I mean, have it out. And I mean, you can read through it on.
I have it right here. Look,
yeah,
I still have my, like, they're all printed up on my people's walls here. Like we still need the scripts at time. Right.
Yeah.
We still there's one, and maybe we can put it out here if I remember we have rapid fire objection handling that Elizabeth created. Like, I give a lot of credit to Elizabeth. Elizabeth was an amazing team leader for us, and created a lot of these as well, because that she was seeing our agents go through. So, rapid fire objection handling, man, you're the 100th call today. Oh, great. So where were you going to go when you're home sold? Like, people get hung up on objections when actually you don't really have to answer them.
Right. Absolutely.
Or even acknowledge them.
Yeah. You don't just keep rolling. And, I know we would have, we always had the walls that you could write on. Right. So, yep. They would, whatever objection they got, they would just write it on the wall. And then we would have fun with it. We would come back around later and we would role play through.
Here's the thing. And this one's a little bit like, we're honey badgers, right? So we have one on the wall right now, a little bit NLP-ish. But we started joking around with it, and it works because they say yes every time. Are you feeling what I'm putting in you? and they say yes every time.
Yeah.
Make it a game.
Yeah.
Johnny, you feeling what I'm putting in you? Yeah, man. Like every time. We've never had anybody say no.
Oh man.
Right? And then what it does, I have people laughing right now, hearing me say that, but we do it and people laugh. What does it do? It gets people especially our people in the office, they're back on, they're hitting their calls, right?
I think you have your next t-shirt. Yeah.
We've got several of them.
That's fantastic, man. Absolute gold. No, man, I this is definitely an amazing topic. A lot of people get hung up with it. They make them, make it harder. And like you said, man, it all starts with that mindset. And, for you guys listening in, I know we've got a lot of honey badgers that are virtual, that feel like they're out on an island. Man, you're not. I mean, I think the Honey Badger Nation, I think we're up almost to 3,000 members in the Facebook group. You're not alone. It's one of the most interactive, engaging. People will jump out of burning buildings to help you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so if you don't have an accountability partner, an accountability team, it's just because you haven't asked. And ask the group. People will be receptive. People would love to jump in with you. And so definitely find some people that you can connect with. Utilize the technology, utilize Zoom, just like what Nick and I are on here with you guys today. And man, Nick said it right from go. And that was man, stay consistent. Stay consistent is the key. Nick, any final things, parting, that you want to kind of really emphasize as we wrap up this episode?
Yeah. So it's December 4th, right? So get consistent, right? We just talked about that. So if you're pushing a boulder up the hill and you get tired and you're like, man, I'm just going to stop. What does that do? That boulder rolls back down. back downhill. And when you decide to start again, you got to start all over, right? And so do it right now. We're coming up. January 1st is expired day, right? So you want to get into the expired game. It's coming up. We got 27 days. 27 days for you to start getting used to making calls, to you reaching out to people, to practicing your scripts and your objection handling. And what will your business look like if you start practice that, getting it consistent every day? What will your first quarter look like when you're taking 1 to 5 expireds every month?
Yeah. Be a game changer for people.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're taking, if you take even 3 to 5, you're selling 1 to 3 of those.
Yep.
Right. And then you got open house opportunities, and you got sign deals, sign calls, right? You got buyer leads coming in, and your business will probably, I guarantee it would change.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Man, brother, I appreciate you making the time, jumping in, adding tons and tons of value. I think we've got another instant classic here, but man, really appreciate you being a true expert mentor. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out, connect with Nick. He's always adding tons and tons of value on a daily basis, him and his team. So definitely make sure you guys connect, and definitely give Nick a lot of love for bringing it today.
Yeah, absolutely. If y'all need anything, just reach out to me. You can message me, and I'll be happy to help out or get you connected with somebody.
I love it, man. Appreciate you, brother. You guys take care, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.